All right, party people, we're back at the job site. So we got our concrete slab busted out of the form. Spare you the pain of having to watch that process. I was really kind of hoping that that form would just kind of pop off like a jello mold or something. It was a little bit more challenging than that, but not too much. You can kind of see that there's some discoloration right there on the top. That seems to be right in line with the areas that were kind of sticking. So we had silicone right here in this area. There's a little bit of a seam right there. Probably have to use something to sand that out. We joined two pieces of melamine there with some dowels, and we just smeared some silicone over there to kind of seal it up. So that was just a little tiny section that was longer than our 4x8 sheet of melamine could handle. So we did everything we could to make it kind of seam up nice. And that seam is really, really tiny. It's almost indetectable by the fingers, but you can see it visually. So these areas right here that are dark seem to be the areas that our mortar came in contact with the silicone. So that's kind of interesting. I didn't expect that. Maybe it was, maybe we rushed the process and we didn't let the silicone get quite cured enough before we poured the mix in there. Not really 100% sure. I thought it was good and dry. We sprayed WD-40 as a releasing agent, just following the straight instructions that we got from Michael Builds. And I gotta say, we got some voids in here. I was a little shocked to see as many voids as there is. It's not terrible, but we had a lot of bubbles come out through the vibration process, and you can kind of see like right here, this line is kind of interesting to me, and I think that this is where we blended one batch and then poured another batch right over the top of it. So that was kind of a perfect spot for some voids to kind of develop there. So interestingly enough, we're okay with the voids being there. Kind of actually took on a travertine kind of look to it. Now I could go back in with some mix and just fill these in and give it a nice smooth rub down. If I want it really glossy smooth, I could come back in here with some polyester filler and just give a little bit of a Bondo treatment. That thing would be perfectly glassy smooth. But I'm okay with the way it came out. I'm actually 100%, 110% happy with this whole process. This slab was extremely strong. I was really worried about such a big piece of material, having tensile strength issues. And, we go through all this time and trouble to make this slab, and all of a sudden it cracks when we're trying to put it up here on the hearth. We got a couple of sticks of rebar in there just to be sure and cautious. Here's underneath, so you can see that we got a little bit of a mortar layer right there. That's where we added this second row of bricks here on top of this old row of bricks. These are the ones from the last portion of this video that we just found laying out in the dirt. There was kind of an old red brick pathway coming up to the old front entry of this flipper, and here we are all the way down. I'll keep this parallel for video purposes. Now this section right here, you see how the bricks are all nice and even, and then all of a sudden, why that? So there was a section right here, I think we mentioned in the last last segment of this video, that there was a wood pass through from the outside to the inside. So this hearth section of this fireplace kind of went down this wall and had an opening right here just next to the fireplace that you could open up to a wood bin on the outside of the house. The problem with that is, you got wood, and it's outside exposed to the elements, and it makes for a great attraction for pests like termites and that kind of thing. And lo and behold, what happens when the termites find the wood and they're there in your wall coming through in the house? well, they eat up everything else, right? So in this case, this whole section of wall, we had to have framing contractors come in, open this thing up, and just pull out all the material. In fact, that whole section of wall, front side and outside, was it was almost completely gone. There was not much left. We had pull permits for that kind of thing. It got really involved. So our determination was get rid of the wood pass-through for this particular project, because it just is an attractive nuisance for termites, pests, and any other wood destroying pests that might be able to get in there. So we don't want that. We sealed that up. Now we got some concrete work on the outside of this project to get to, and we'll probably put another video together for that. But otherwise, super excited about the way this came out. The slab looks fantastic. You know, it's been roughly a week, and we're probably just short of about 7 days on the cure time on here. So I'm kind of curious as to whether this is just discoloration, or if this is actually still moisture coming out of the mix. Can't really tell. Doesn't matter. When we're finished with this, this is going to be coated with a white epoxy across this piece here. This is going to be a nice, brilliant white mantle that comes all the way across the bottom of this fireplace here. Now, should note, using the bricks to raise up the level here so that we could get our hose through here. I don't like the length of this hose, and I think I want to put a row of fire brick down in here in the bottom, and then route this hose up to our burning element. And I think on top of that, we're going to put a broken glass. We've looked at a few different products that would be nice to bury a burning element in there. I think we're kind of looking at white or titanium from Fireglass. That seems to be kind of in line with our theme and our scheme that we have going on for here. And then, of course, this old brick back here, we're going to go ahead and coat that over with a fire-resistant paint after giving it a good thorough cleaning. So we're going to clean up all this ash and burn mark and see if we can get as much of the contaminants out of there as possible. This is just an old fireplace. It's been used over the years. There's a little bit of cracking back there in the bricks. Nothing terrible. We had some cameras run on it just to see what the state of affairs is with this thing, and it is what it is. Fire bricks got a little bit of wear on them. No big deal. We put another layer of fire bricks in there and get this thing kind of sealed up. So that's the next piece. We'll get that in there. We'll get our we'll get our replacement hose. So this slab is not, it's not mounted, it's not glued, it's just being held in there by sheer gravity, and it'll take a couple of guys to move this thing out of the way. So it's not going anywhere. It's completely stable. In fact, I'll stand up here. I mean, this thing is super, super solid. So those bricks are nice and level underneath. Using the mortar was a great idea. Kind of just grab the bricks like we were setting tile. I was able to get a level on top of them just to make sure that we had a nice solid base here for this slab, and it worked out fantastic. So I'm a novice at this, guys. This was real super easy stuff. I've got a total of $100 into this project. Actually finishing out the rest of this, which will continue in this video in some sections as I have it moving forward. But we're going to go ahead and finish out with the finishing elements here. We're going to put some ledgers down here so that we can get our shiplap siding that we're going to use down here in the base. We got to put some bracing and support down there so that when we finish this out, that we've got a nice clean section that covers up all this horrible nastiness over here. You know, and it's not it's not flush. So it kind of, if we put the camera here and look, you see this thing protrudes. So we're gonna have to have a ledger that's, well, we got two choices. We put a ledger and shim out the material, which is what the plan is, or we can grind these things flush, and that's just gonna make a big nasty mess in here. We already got floor shot down. I really don't wanna go back and have to clean up a whole bunch of masonry dust. So I'd rather just put a ledger over there. We, when we did this slab, you can see we left a nice big thick lip right here, big enough to bury ledger and finishing materials out there. We had that concept in mind when we measured out the form, and it worked out perfect. We were actually a little concerned about the angles, making sure we had our angles correct. We were a little unsure when we were measuring that these were exactly 45 degrees on the money after the walls were finished out and everything. And usually I see that there's always some little thing off, like it's 1/2 degree or something weird. This one wasn't. It was spot on, 45 degrees on each angle. So I mean, they just straight off of they just took a 90 and split it, yeah, which is fantastic. Make my life a lot easier. The worst we got here is a little bit of wave in drywall, and now that that mantle piece is up there, it kind of makes that wave a little bit more apparent. So I've never been in a house that had any wall that was straight, let alone that straight. So I'm happy with what I got here. I think this came out fantastic. It really took $100 in a week, and most of that was just waiting time. I mean, building the form took about 30-45 minutes, no big deal there. Pouring the mud took maybe an hour and a half. Not that big of a deal there. It really was a pretty simple process. Certainly using the flow control mix in there would help. I think we probably, as we were doing this, we could have probably had a little bit more water in our mix, especially after we started blending up with the Floetrol. I don't think we quite got that pancakey batter that they were talking about in Michael Bill's videos. I think we were just a little bit thicker than that. And I think that's why we probably got these voids and this pitting here, was because we're just a little thicker than what was recommended. So it does need to be good and soupy for the materials to get all the bubbles out. I was really concerned about working time and that kind of thing, because I have never, again, a novice here, never worked with the product. It does pop off fast, and when it does pop off, it gets hot, which I didn't expect. So a little bit different than concrete, I think. I don't necessarily ever remember working with concrete where it got hot and it kicked and it radiated heat. I've always just kind of see it kind of dry and cure and take a long time, but you know, it's not a product like this. We're not casting it. So this is a whole new experience. I'm going to go ahead and post new videos along with this one as this project continues to form up. So I think we got about another week of build time on this mantelpiece, and we'll show you what the finished product looks like. Until then, stay tuned for the next segment of this video, and we're signing off.